the live stream.
All right. Well, I know you should be getting sound now. You turned on an additional microphone.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry about that.
So we'll go off of that one for today. That might work. So as we were saying, this episode is happening in 1774 to the very beginning of 1775, and we are talking about the creation of the United States of America, American history. It really is an escalation in protests, going all the way back to the Stamp Act in 1765. That's where Patrick Henry, who's in today's episode, he has that famous saying, "Give me
liberty or death."
Right, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry, who, by the way, was a product of homeschooling. Yes, he was way out in Hanover County in Virginia, and his father was very smart, didn't go to school himself, his father. And his father basically taught him as a young boy before he had to go off and create his own world. And he was not the eldest son in the Henry clan. He had an elder brother who was going to inherit everything from his father. And so Patrick Henry had to make his way out into the world. And he spent a lot of time with preachers during his youth, Anglican and Presbyterian preachers. And these preachers they taught him how to speak to the people, because speaking to the people is incredibly important. And really, that's why so many people, Virginians and from other colonies, loved Patrick Henry. He has very good sound bites. Give me liberty or give me death. So basically what happened from the intolerable acts from our last episode, we then decided to boycott all British goods, all the colonies. So that's it. Starting December 1st, 1774, we're going to boycott all of British goods coming in. We'll hurt them where it hurts. Hit them where it hurts. And that's the money, the purse, the pocketbook. Because if Great Britain's not making any money off of us from trade, they're going to feel pretty bad. You feel good when you make money? Exactly. Making money feels good. And if you're a government, you need money because you got to pay soldiers, which was actually the original reason for the Stamp Act, going back again to 1765, to pay for soldiers. Quick question, because today we deal with liberty and slavery. What is your definition for liberty?
Liberty is like you're a free man and you can do like what you want. But slavery is like the complete opposite. Slavery is like someone buys you and then you work for them. And you work for them forever.
Yeah, and do you get paid?
No.
No, you don't even get paid. Right?
But you have to buy. But at least you give them some. You give the government some money for him. Do you give the government the money or do you give him?
No, you don't give the government any money. You're basically giving the money to probably Portuguese slave traders and other commercial ventures that are partnering with the Portuguese American partners that are bringing them on in. And have you heard of an auction before?
No.
No? They have it's kind of like a priest, not a priest, kind of like a judge. They have a gavel, because what they're doing is they're selling an item, like we'll sell your bell. And no, please don't sell the bell. But we'll say, okay, that's it. We have a minimum of $10 on the bell. And then we say, do we have $5? And someone will bid $5. And then I bid $6. I bid $7. And they keep bidding. And finally someone's like, I'll give you $20. And we're like, sold to the man in the funny hat for $20. One semi-authentic, brand new bell, probably made in India.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's probably where it came from. Yeah. So that is what an auction is. And then the House of Burgesses rounds up our key vocabulary. The House of Burgesses is basically our Congress. The House of Burgesses is the legislative branch of the government when the colonies were still around. Yawn, government.
Right? No, I've been yawning because I was building a tank for now, over 2 hours now.
You're building a tank? Was that your Lego tank?
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
No, I'm just like so close. I'm on bag of 2 threes, and then like I'm done.
Okay.
But I'm doing like the shooting cannon thing.
Nice,
Like I'm
nice.
doing like the long arm, and then that's where like the big missile comes out, and then they go like boom.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically the same thing they had in the 18th century. Big cannons that shot out a big missile thing that
But
went through.
now we have tanks.
And now we have tanks. Did you know they had submarines in the 18th century?
I knew that, but they're not that good actually.
They were not that good, but they still worked. So yeah, they worked in New York Harbor. We went into submarine warfare as we used the submarine to attack one of the British ships in New York Harbor. That was pretty cool. We were able to do that.
Wait, and then they didn't know, and then that ship sunk with men on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
well, it took a couple of tries, not the first one. First one didn't work, and then subsequent submarines, I think worked. I hope worked.
Yay, one did.
So we'll fill out our KWL sections. So let's see, what do you know about this time? This is before the shot heard around the world, which is probably going to be the next episode. So we're still in that escalation of tensions as it's going up, because we basically said we're not going to pay for any more taxes. The British government basically said, okay, and they repealed it. And we did that like 3 more times until the British government was like, stop repealing them. Like, all right, no, you got to pay for at least pay for the tax on tea.
What?
Yeah, they're like, at least pay for that. It's cheaper than the smuggled tea. Just buy the tea with the tax and be good, loyal, royal subjects. And what did we do with the tea in Boston Harbor?
We threw it in the ocean because we didn't want to pay the taxes.
Yeah, we threw it in the ocean. And then the British government just like, oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. You did not just throw all of our tea. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. You bought it. You bought it. You broke it. You bought it. You got to buy it now. So you got to buy the tea. So they made made Boston basically pay for the tea, and the citizens of Boston were like, no, no. If we're astute enough to basically throw it into the water, we're not going to basically turn around now and pay for it. No, not happening. So they actually laid siege to Boston. You know, when you close the port, that means really getting goods in and out is not happening for the most part. So people can starve to death. You know, bad things can happen. And basically that's what Boston was suffering under.
Boston!
And
why did they, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. Why did they close Boston Harbor, the British?
They asked the Boston government to pay for the tea. And the government simply said, no. And so then the government's like, what? You can't say no to us. And like, yeah, we just did. And so the parliament was like, that's it. You're in timeout. That's what they did to Boston. They put Boston in a timeout.
So, like, they know so that's their punishment. They can't leave.
There you go. That's pretty much it.
And even worse, Boston Harbor's closed, so they can't get goods. But besides from America, only driving horses.
Yeah, so some horses can make it in. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. So that's what was going on in Boston. And then basically after that, Patrick Henry and other people, they basically met down in Virginia, and they said, you know what? The whole day of fasting and prayer that came out about in the summertime. And then later on, they said, let's just not buy any more British goods. And all the colonies agreed to it. And so they basically put a big boycott on. And so then the British government just said, okay, well, fine. Now, all of you colonies are basically, you're all in our sights now. And so everyone's starting to yell. And that's what we're going to hear about in this episode. Are you ready for the episode?
Yep.
Okay. One quick question before the episode starts. We covered a lot of what you know. What do you want to learn about?
Everything that I don't know in this episode.
What do you want to know about Patrick Henry? What do you want to know about the Patriots? What do you want to know about?
I want to know that the Patriots, I know that they become slaves.
That's right. If we agree that Parliament has the right to tax us, without the representation in Parliament, which is guaranteed to us under the British Constitution, then our government is specifically taking away our rights. And when you take away all of your rights, you're a slave. So, though it is a hyperbole to basically say, once you take away one of my rights, I become a slave, that's taking it to the extreme, but that is the path. Because once you agree that the parliament and the king has the right to do whatever they want, regardless of the law and the Constitution, then, well, if we're not protected by the Constitution, then we're not really citizens of this country, Great Britain. That's what people are slowly starting to realize. And we learned about that from Benjamin Franklin. I am no longer a citizen of this empire. I am a citizen of the next empire, United States of America. That's my Benjamin Franklin / Winston Churchill / FDR voice.
Okay, good job.
Okay, so without further ado, just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat and we will answer them for you.
Yes.
And so now is your time to get out your question papers. There are 10 questions to be answered during the show, so please follow along during the show. Answer your questions, and we'll come back in about 24 minutes after you've watched the show in order to answer those questions. Any questions before we go out?
No.
Perfect. Thank you. Did you like the episode?
Yes.
Yes. Is that a happy about?
Like the whole story was about getting a new printer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the reason why they're moving around. Yeah. Yeah. And it's coincidental, that they're heading from city to city, and that's when these great things are happening. Makes for a good story. Really convenient that they're reporters, too. Did you know that Williamsburg is the capital of Virginia back then?
No.
Yep. They also have one of the best schools in the entire country there in Williamsburg, the College of William and Mary. That was set up in, I think, 1699, whereas Columbia University or King's College in New York was there, and then Boston had Harvard University dating from 1630s. No, please sit up.
My chair.
Yeah, please stay. Thank you.
Chair went down.
Yes. So, questions. Do you know all the answers for this episode? Questions. Okay.
What is the first one?
James and Moses are going to Williamsburg in what colony?
In Virginia.
Bill. Okay.
In Virginia.
Virginia.
Yay!
Yes, that's the colony. No, stop looking at here. Why would it not be safe for Moses in Virginia?
Every living there, and he was a slave and was California. He doesn't slave again.
Exactly.
Because,
Yes.
Because
He was a slave before.
yes, and some people know that he's still a slave.
Yes.
That is.
I think the story is he got extra money and he bought his freedom, which could be possible. But if you're black, back in the 18th century, people can just grab you and say, hey, you're a runaway slave. And you could be like, no, look, I have a piece of paper. It says I'm legal. Like, give me that piece of paper. And just throw it away or burn it or whatnot and say, what paper? And then because there's very poor record keeping, it's very hard to get proven otherwise. So even being free in America, if you head down to some of the southern colonies where slavery was still legal, you do run the risk of basically just being captured. And basically someone say, you're a runaway slave, and they capture you and put you to work. So Moses did run that risk. What happened? Oh, well, I'll continue with the questions. I'm not asking you my questions. No, you stop. Sarah talks about the colonies as different countries. Do you remember that? But James says that Patrick Henry's goal is for what to happen with the colonies?
For them to not fight.
No, Patrick Henry was pro-fighting.
He was voting for them to like peace.
He was voting for them to have peace. The First Continental Congress did vote basically for peace. They basically sent a petition to the king, basically saying, hey, let's kind of resolve all of this. No, he wanted the colonies to basically form a country. That was the main idea. Okay?
No!
E pluribus unum. Have you heard that already? Look at that camera, too. No? Okay. E pluribus unum. It is Latin. It means e from pluribus, many, like plural, many, unum, like unum momento. 1 minute. So from many colonies, one country. From many peoples, one culture? Yeah. What was the capital of the colony of Virginia? What was the capital of Virginia?
Virginia in
Williamsburg, yes. First it was Jamestown at the very beginning. Then I think in 1680 they moved it to Williamsburg or something like that. And then 1780, actually I think it was, then it moved from Williamsburg to Richmond. So around that. And that was during the war. What is an auction block? Do you remember what an auction is? $5, $6, $10, sold. The highest bidder. That's an auction.
Ah, shoot, I forgot that I can't use this hand, my main hand, because I have a right here.
It hurts. Yeah, don't smack your wound on the table.
So!
This is where you can say you're welcome.
Wait, what?
Yeah, don't smack your hurt hand on the table.
You're welcome.
Exactly. So a auction house is a place where auctions happen, and an auction block, they're referring specifically to where slaves were sold. And typically you'd have them basically near marketplaces. At least that's where it was also in New York when they had one earlier on. You okay? Oh, wormy. Where does Moses tell James to go? What? Where did James go?
Where did James go?
He went to go listen to someone.
Yes, he went to go listen to Patrick Henry.
Right. And he originally thought he was down at the end of the street in Williamsburg, because that's where the House of Burgesses is. But they were closed. So at the time, the government basically was the same in each colony, plus or minus. But there was the governor. He was appointed by the king, so definitely friends with the king. And then the governor appointed his own council. So there was the governor's council.
They're losing frames.
Yeah, that's happening. And then there is the House of Burgesses, which is the local people, and that's who the people are able to vote for. If you own property, if you're allowed to vote, then you can vote for a member of the House of Burgesses, like the people of Virginia voted for Patrick Henry to be in the House of Burgesses. They voted for Thomas Jefferson to be in the House of Burgesses. They voted for William Randolph to be in, and it goes on and on and on. But they did not vote, people don't vote for the House of Lords or the King's Council, Governor's Council.
Did they ever vote for Alexander Hamilton?
Did they ever vote for Alexander Hamilton? Let's see. Hamilton, did he actually run for any office per se? Actually, off the top of my head, I don't think so. I think he was pretty much appointed, self-appointed.
What?
So yeah, he actually wasn't. We'll go on, but he did decide many elections himself. Why does James say they have to go to Richmond? Because they want to go hear Patrick Henry speak. He already said that. Because the House of Burgesses was closed. The governor simply closed them. Said, no more for you. And then they basically, and that would happen in a lot of places. Governments, the royal colonies really didn't know what to do. They were kind of losing control over the people. And so they simply started shutting down local government, which just, again, made things worse. Because our whole problem is we're not making the rules from the people that we elected. You're making rules from people we didn't elect. So what are you going to do? Take away our elected rulers? That doesn't help us. That's going in the opposite direction. Who do they see on the auction block on their way to Richmond? They saw Moses, a relative of Moses. His brother, yes. What's his brother's name? Do you remember? Cato.
Cato, that's a hard one.
Cato, yeah. That's actually also the name of George Washington's favorite play. Random thought for you there.
Wait, what?
Patrick Henry says,
Yeah.
if we mean to be free, we must fight. But as for me, give me...
Death
No,
or give me liberty.
All right, I'll take it. Give me death or give me liberty.
Wait, I
Exactly.
didn't know.
Yeah, liberty or death. I think I have that here on my... Is that what's on my hat? Yeah, is that liberty or death?
There's nothing on your hat.
Nothing? Oh, I took it off. Okay. And last one. I went to 11 on this one. What is the rumor Cato heard? What was the rumor that he heard?
That I don't know.
Basically, and this did come true later on, if you are a slave, and if you, under the ideas that you're a slave under one of these rebellious plantation owners like Thomas Jefferson or Patrick Henry or whatnot, basically feel free to leave and fight for us. So a slave can get their freedom by fighting for the crown. And I'll tell you that did not work out well for them, no matter what. Yeah, there was no easy solution back then. None at all. So a couple of more quick questions for you. Let's see if we have any questions from online. No, not a question online yet. Okay. As it goes, we have 3 discussion questions. What do you think about the auction block? I can't understand you.
I think that was terrible for my brother, and I'll be right back.
You think it was terrible for his brother? Can you wait for 2 more questions?
Wait, actually.
You do? Okay. What are some of the different paths to freedom for slaves? Really, you buy your own freedom or you run away. And at the end, Sarah says, freedom doesn't come cheaply. What does she mean? That's a good discussion question, because it could mean a whole lot of things. So start that discussion amongst your family. What does freedom mean to you? So what does freedom mean to you? Discuss amongst your family. In society as well, when you get of age and you want to go and do whatever you want to do. Isn't it amazing that we live in a country where you're able to do whatever it is that you want to do? Like, no one's stopping you and saying, no, you're not the right caste or race or gender to be an accountant. No, you want to be an accountant? Go ahead, be an accountant. You want to design rockets? Go design rockets. You're free to do that. It's a great country we live in. So, since there are no more questions and I've lost my co-partner here, we'll sign off for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone. And we look forward to another fantastic adventure.
Wait!
A little bit on tomorrow. Jump back in. Great. You jump back in. Now say goodbye.
Bye. I came upstairs for nothing now.